Smiley N. staff photographer at the Dallas Morning News. While never ruling out success in the parity-driven NFL, some of us gave up expecting the Cowboys to produce championships under the guidance of owner Jerry Jones some time ago. 22 seasons without a trip to an NFC Championship game will bring out the cynic in anyone. On the other hand, I made my first trip inside what was then called Cowboys Stadium in August 2009 to see Paul McCartney deliver a 35-song concert. Sir Paul was great, the sound was not, but I realized that night the same thing that most everyone figured out as soon as they stepped into the immaculate, new Cowboys Palace. This place was destined for big events. And so they came. But my question now, why have they stopped coming? A major announcement was anticipated this week. No one thought it would be delivered by Bob Bowlesby and that it would be confirmation that Big 12 Media Days will be held at the stadium instead of Frisco next July. What happened to the really big stuff? Or should I just say, why don't people like us? Remember that Jerry World was this side of the NBA All-Star Game and its record attendance in 2010. Green Bay and Pittsburgh played the Super Bowl there following the 2010 season. The NCAA Men's Final Four stopped by in 2014, when Connecticut upset Kentucky. Then, 9 months later, Ezekiel Elliott tried out his future home, rushing for 246 yards in Ohio State's victory over Oregon in the first CFP championship game. We grew to expect this sort of thing, and why not? Biggest scoreboard, more seats, more suites, more money. These things matter to the people choosing sites for their championship events. But in case you missed it, the NCAA announced Final Four sites this week, and Arlington got kicked to the curb one more time. Houston was selected for the 2023 games, followed by Phoenix, San Antonio and Indianapolis. Why is this alarming? Because all four have hosted or, in Indy's case, will have hosted Final Fours prior to these games since they were played in Arlington in 2014. Houston, Phoenix and San Antonio appear to be on a 7-year rotation. Indianapolis, the home of the NCAA, gets the Final Four every 5 or 6 years. The event set attendance records here, but it will be a minimum of 13 years between Final Fours for AT. We know the building is perfect for Super Bowls and we also know it was wildly imperfect the last time around. The weather was a fluke that shut down most of the country, although, needless to say, some municipalities do better with snow and ice removal. It's not our strength, but it's also unlikely to be needed next time around. And, yes, there were a few lawsuits about fake seats, but hey, that's been cleared up. Is the league still punishing Jerry and willingly passing on all that glorious sweet revenue? The next 6 Super Bowls are slated for Atlanta, Miami, Tampa Bay, Los Angeles, Phoenix and New Orleans. So it will be more than a decade between Super Bowls here, something that never happens in New Orleans despite the fact the lights went out in the Superdome the last time it hosted the game. I figured the CFP was a staple for AT. Instead, we will get some semi-final games but no more championships until at least January 2025. I've heard suggestions that the Arlington location hurts the stadium, and I can't say for sure that it doesn't, although no one is walking to their hotels or much of anything beyond a look at the Astrodome when they leave NRG Stadium in Houston. If Dallas had built a downtown stadium and team hotels were closer to the event, perhaps things would be different, but why even venture down that road? It didn't happen. It didn't come close to happening. Move on. Perhaps the lesson here is that there is something beyond the famous line from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. But will they come back? Until further notice, the answer in Arlington is no.